The newest attraction to the park were a bunch of Brachiosaurus. These beautiful creatures will be visible way before the audience would enter the park at the boulevard, much like their Dreadnoughtus brothers and sisters. Seeing these incredibly large dinosaurs be moved through the air was a spectacle to behold. They were so massive and heavy that every time one arrived safely at the exhibit, the pilot did a little Hail Mary, since if something were to go wrong during the flight, the consequences would be disastrous. In general, these dinosaurs were very calm and slow. Their size was their number one protection, which was a good thing because their legs were too short and stout to properly outrun danger. The Brachiosaurus almost never had to fear a carnivore, but it was a different story when it came to natural disasters like a tidal wave or a volcanic eruption. Luckily, none of those would happen at the park, and these new beauties could enjoy their lives as they were fed the delicious leaves all day long. With the Brachiosaurus being another iconic dinosaur in the park, the scientists gathered around the table once more on what to do next. With so many all-star attractions already being introduced, it was decided to launch a special event where every other month a new carnivore would be brought in. They could put in multiple promotional deals and slogans to this marketing period, and money holders hoped that this would bring some priority attention to the dinosaurs, even though they were not as special as a T-Rex or Spinosaurus. The first of the three carnivores that would be brought over was the Albertosaurus. The Albertosaurus was another dinosaur that was new to the park and not previously featured in the first zoo nor the safari park. This theropod was discovered in western North America and would have roamed the area we know now today as Canada. Compared to something like a T-Rex, it was much smaller, yet it was very probable that it stood at the top of the food chain where it roamed. The irony in it is that over the past 140 years or so many discoveries have been made of the Albertosaurus bones that scientists have a better idea and picture of the anatomy of this dinosaur, meaning that the artificial creation replicates the real deal much more than some other dinosaurs in the park. With the prohibitors, it was made possible once again to have more of this dangerous kind in the park without them getting aggressive. When one would look at the build of the dinosaur, it would seem they were made more for speed. Their smaller size made it to where their prey was in all likelihood faster than your average T-Rex snack, and thus, it relied on its strong legs to catch up and deal the death blow. Their color variations weren't anything too special, maybe thereby hinting that they stayed camouflaged or at least unnoticed until getting close enough to their prey to where they could start their sprint. And then with the first of the three carnivores in the park, everyone looked onto the next attraction. The following dinosaur will be a Ceratosaurus, by now seen many times by the audience and maybe not that impressive anymore. It was always one of the first carnivores added to the park, and since so many people had laid their eyes upon it, they wanted to do something different with this one. So the scientists were once again ordered to come up with a special design, and the winner by far was this extravagant, colorful variant that was based on a toy but also reminiscent of some dinosaur art books from back in the 90s. These dinosaurs looked magnificent and were a feast to behold. They were so vibrant with magical patterns, almost making them reminiscent of a chameleon. Now obviously these bright colors would not help the dinosaur in the wild, but they did not have to worry about that. They would all get fed by the rangers so their colors could be on display. Besides their unique pattern and palette, they also had more spikes and horns than your average Ceratosaurus, which made them also look a bit menacing or maybe a bit punk to the joking audience member. But the plan of showcasing the dinosaurs in this state definitely worked, because they were once again headline news. Everyone wanted to see this unique design, and many people called it the prettiest dinosaurs in the park yet, prettier than even something exotic like the Yangtruenosaurus. They were put not too far from the Giganotosaurus, and despite the sheer contrast in size, both dinosaurs received equal attention. The colorful Ceratosaurus was to no surprise more popular with children, and their cartoonish looks worked great with the merchandise on things like cups or t-shirts. They were a big hit, but then it was time for the final of the three, and the last dinosaur would not necessarily be a spectacle, but simply a safe finisher. Since they did not know how the guests would react to the unique Ceratosaurus, they wanted to make sure to have them as the second, to save some face if the reaction would be negative. And so the final carnivore that was headed to the park was the Acrocanthosaurus. This stout predator was one of the larger predators in the park, yet its build was significantly bulkier. It was due to its spinal structure and its thick neck. The Acrocanthosaurus was almost like the bull shark amongst dinosaurs. It actually roamed a wide continent back when it roamed freely, and has only been recently introduced in the park and first saw its appearance during the safari days. Its colors were not that special, and maybe to the untrained eye, their shape was also not that unique as the Albertosaurus, for example. But their size then compensated for it, and had quite an aggressive demeanor about it, which of course was held down by the prohibitors. As expected, there was not as much news attention with the coming of this dinosaur, but that was fine because the 6-month promotional period was a huge success, most notable due to the Ceratosaurus. Many of the scientists believed they could also do this with some of the herbivore types that were still to be introduced. Others, however, thought it was time once again to introduce a creature to the park that was not a dinosaur.